Exposed, 15 accountants gave up, but this underdog delivery girl revealed a life-changing truth. Emily zipped through the gritty streets of Chicago, her heart pounding against the backdrop of towering glass buildings that gleamed like a reflection of another world. At 22, the delivery girl felt like a ghost among them, invisible, with nothing but a high school diploma and her mother's weary smile to keep her going. Each entregas was a ticking clock, a reminder of bills to pay and dreams deferred. She longed for meaning, for a life that mattered beyond the daily grind, but it felt miles away. In a small apartment nearby, 15 accountants stared at the walls of power, now stripped of their roles. Laid off by faceless bosses, they felt the ground shift beneath them. What did it mean when your title vanished? As they sat, sipping expensive coffees and surrounded by luxury, their despair turned into a murmured chorus of self-pity, void of understanding for anyone outside their privilege. But then there was Emily, buzzing through the neighborhoods delivering grocery orders as she wrestled with feelings of inadequacy. One day, she met Mr. Jackson, an elderly veteran with kind eyes and a warm laugh, who would share nuggets of wisdom that dug deep into her soul. His stories wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. "Resilience," he said, "is the backbone of the American spirit." His words ignited something within her, a belief that true worth was not draped in dollar signs but stitched in how much you lift others up. The moment came when Emily learned the local food bank was running low on supplies. It was a heart-wrenching reality, made real when she saw families struggling and neighbors in need. Something clicked inside her. She couldn't just stand by. She envisioned a community rallying together to fill the shelves. But with the accountants lost in their troubles, they mocked her efforts, unable to see beyond their ivory towers. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily poured her heart into a video, sharing a raw plea for help that resonated far and wide, igniting compassion across the nation. As the supplies flooded in, she carried a newfound strength and a radical truth: change can bloom from the unlikeliest of places. The charity gala approached like an uninvited storm. With every acknowledgement of her efforts, the accountants began to question their own paths. Emily stood tall, worthy for the recognition, but a storm of backlash buzzed beneath the surface. When the lights flickered and darkness swallowed the room, Emily's voice hung on the precipice of silence, waiting. She was the underdog who dared to challenge, and now everyone in the room felt the weight of her journey. Before any words could escape, hearts pounded with anticipation, and the questions of worth and connection lingered in the air, leaving everyone gasping for understanding. What would rise from the shadows? The silence in the room hung heavily, thick with unspoken words. Emily felt the weight of their gazes, the glittering lights above contrasting sharply with the darkness that swirled around her, mirroring the uncertainty that gripped her heart. "What do you all do when the lights go out?" she finally asked, her voice steady yet soft. The room fell even quieter, everyone hanging on her words like drowning sailors reaching for a lifeline. She took a deep breath, sensing the shift in energy. "Do you wallow in the darkness, or do you find a way to shine?" The accountants exchanged glances, their smugness slowly eroding. Emily saw the flicker of realization in their eyes, a softening of their rigid postures. For the first time, she felt like she could break through their wall of privilege, and she seized that moment. "I might deliver groceries, but I also deliver hope," she continued. "Every day, I see families struggling, kids who go to bed hungry, and parents who worry about tomorrow. And I decided I couldn't be just a spectator. I won't let these stories fade into the background, and I hope this initiative we started helps fill that void." As she spoke, memories of her own struggles surged within her, a childhood filled with laughter but tainted by hard times, a mother who worked late into the night, and the fear that one day it could all slip through her fingers. She pushed through that vulnerability, expressing the heart of her mission, and with every word, she could feel the accountants shifting uneasily in their seats. One of them, a woman with perfectly styled hair and a crisp blazer, stood up. "We were comfortable, living our lives, but we forgot about the people who deserve to be seen," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "Maybe we need to learn how to stand up, rather than sit in silence." The murmurs of agreement floated around the room, a new conversation sparking like embers catching fire. Emily felt a rush of warmth, a tingling hope that began to bloom inside her. This was the change she had longed to see, a collective awakening to the needs around them. The gala transformed before her eyes. What was once a placid gathering of privileged individuals began to pulse with the energy of potential. They were no longer just accountants, they were voices ready to make a difference. Something deep within Emily stirred, a sense of purpose branched outwards, binding them together in a newfound mission. As the night wound down, the accountants approached her one by one, sharing their own ideas and commitments to help. It was a beautiful chaos, with offers to host fundraisers, donations promised, and even plans for community outreach. For the first time in her life, Emily felt like she was part of something bigger than herself, but with all this warmth came a chilling realization: she still had a long way to go. Could she keep these people motivated once the initial spark faded? As she left the gala, the city loomed around her, aglow with a sense of urgency and promise. And for a fleeting moment, she questioned if she could rise to this challenge. Suddenly, her phone vibrated with a notification that jolted her back to reality. It was a video reply from Mr. Jackson, and a single thought crossed her mind: could a new journey begin with his wisdom igniting something even greater? What do you do when the light returns? Are you ready to step into it? A seed of doubt nestled in her heart as she scrolled through the screen. What awaited her next? Emily stood on the sidewalk, her breath fogging in the cool night air. The gala lights faded behind her, but her heart pulsed with a thrilling aftershock that had her feet moving as if compelled by an invisible thread. She slipped her phone back into her pocket, but the flutter of anticipation remained. It wasn't just Mr. Jackson's words that resonated deeply, it was the palpable shift in the accountants. Their expressions had transformed, their resolve had solidified. In that whirlwind of conversation, she realized they were not just interested in change. They were ready to commit, yet doubt lurked on the edges of her mind, whispering fears of inadequacy. Could she really lead a movement? To inspire a room full of seasoned professionals who once saw charity as a distant obligation? The imposter syndrome crept up, and she wrestled with it, the shadows of uncertainty darkening her thoughts. Heading back to her colorful little apartment, she thought about the families she served. They didn't have the luxury of fading hope. They were fighting for every meal, every small victory. The resolve of the accountants could potentially mean that the families she met on her deliveries might not have to fight alone anymore. Emily pictured the faces of the children she had met, their smiles bright but their bellies empty, and her resolve ignited within her. Determined, she pulled her phone back out. She sent Mr. Jackson a quick message, asking to meet with him to discuss her visions for the initiative. Her heart raced at the thought of reaching out to him, the mentor she had idolized. A reply came before she even made it to her front door. "I'm intrigued, Emily. Let us meet. Tomorrow at noon?" She read the words multiple times, a sense of elation dancing in her chest. This was her chance to capitalize on the momentum she had built. But just as quickly, a wave of dread washed over her. What if he didn't think her ideas were good enough? What if he dismissed her concerns as juvenile naivete? "No," she murmured aloud, shaking her head. "You've got this. You've come this far." Building her confidence, she recalled the accountant who stood up, voice shaking but strong. That burning heart she had seen in them was now mirrored in her. The entire vision of the next step began to shape in her mind, a flame of inspiration surged. Ideas were connecting like constellation patterns. She pictured classes and workshops that empowered underprivileged families, giving them resources and skills. A community built by lifting each other up, shining light into dark corners. Emily smiled to herself now, bolstered by the thought. She might just be a delivery girl, but she held the power to deliver so much more. Just as she reached her door, her phone buzzed again, a notification, an email from one of the accountants. She hesitated, her heart beating faster. They had sent her a summary of ideas that the group had collectively outlined during the gala discussion. It was ambitious, groundbreaking, and somehow everything she hoped for. As she opened the email and read through the proposals, her eyes widened. But then one idea jumped out at her, sending icy fingers down her spine. What they proposed required a level of vulnerability and commitment she hadn't anticipated. Could she really pull something like this off? The question hung in the air, heavy and tangible. Anxiety pricked at her, but excitement twinkled just outside of it. Emily took a deep breath. Tomorrow was not just another day. Tomorrow would demand her courage, and she would have to decide, was she ready to step into the light and reveal all her truths? As she closed her door, she made a vow to herself. No turning back. She would navigate the darkness, no matter what it took. But beneath that determination lurked a nagging thought: was she prepared to face the truth about herself and those ambitions she held so dearly? The morning sun spilling through Emily's window felt like a spotlight, an unyielding reminder that today would change everything. She sat on the edge of her bed, heart racing as she replayed the words of the accountants in her mind. Ready to commit. Those words echoed, both encouraging and daunting. She dressed quickly, her hands trembling slightly as she pulled on a comfortable blouse and slacks. Each piece felt heavy with expectation. What if Mr. Jackson didn't like her ideas? What if he thought she was wasting his time? She shook her head, tossing those thoughts aside as she splashed cold water on her face, grounding herself in the moment. With a deep breath, she stepped outside, the crisp air biting against her cheeks. She took her usual route to the cafe, her heart pounding with each step. As she walked, she noticed things she often overlooked: the laughter of children racing to school, the budding flowers edging the sidewalk, and the familiar smell of fresh coffee wafting from the cafe. Everything seemed more vibrant today, charged with potential. The cafe was already buzzing with patrons, the barista calling out orders, people exchanging bright smiles and news. Emily took a seat in the corner, tapping her fingers on the table as she waited for Mr. Jackson. Her stomach clenched. Was this coffee shop a forum for dreams, or a den of doubts? When he finally arrived, Mr. Jackson exuded confidence, his presence filling the space with authority. He greeted her with a warm smile, and for a moment, Emily felt a wave of reassurance. "Emily," he said, taking the seat across from her. "You've got an ambitious vision to share, I hear. I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts." The confidence in his voice sparked her courage. She leaned in, her heart beating an excited rhythm. She shared her ideas about community workshops, skills training, and the way everyone could contribute to each other's growth. Every idea she floated was met with his thoughtful nods, his engagement kindling her enthusiasm. But then, as she waded deeper into the conversation, the topic of vulnerability arose. "It's about more than just resources," she explained, her voice gathering strength. "It's about building trust and relationships. We need to show the families that we're in this together. No one has to face their battles alone." Mr. Jackson leaned back, a thoughtful frown crossing his face. "That's a brave perspective, Emily," he replied. "But it requires a type of honesty that can be frightening both for you and those families. Are you prepared for that level of exposure?" The question hit her like a cold splash of water, awakening a deeper concern: could she truly be the anchor they needed? She had never been one to flaunt her vulnerabilities. That would show a side of her she had always kept hidden, leaving her exposed. "Honestly, I'm not sure," she replied, swallowing hard. "But I'm willing to try. For the families, I'd do anything to make a difference." His gaze softened then, and for the first time that morning, she saw something warm in his eyes. "That's exactly the spirit we need, Emily. It's more than just programs, it's the heart behind them." Her heart raced, hope battling the doubt inside her. Yet, just as she began to feel buoyed by his support, uncertainty crept back in. "Remember," he cautioned, "it's one thing to present ideas, executing them means making yourself vulnerable too." She inhaled sharply. It was a lot to unravel, and here she was, on the brink of her first big leap. She had to decide, was she ready to embrace that vulnerability? Emily felt the weight of it settle around her shoulders. As they wrapped up, a sense of purpose began to solidify within her. But the underlying question still lingered, casting a long shadow over her thoughts. Would she have the courage to expose her truths and stand strong in the light? Walking away from the cafe, the street bustling around her, she couldn't help but wonder, what truths awaited her as she stepped beyond the safety of her known world? Would the journey ahead fulfill her dreams or unravel those very ambitions? The afternoon light filtered through the trees, leaves whispering secrets as Emily walked down the busy street. Every step felt heavy, the thrill and anxiety battling inside her. With her meeting over, she should have felt lighter, but the anticipation clung to her like shadows. As she reached her apartment, she paused at the door, hand resting on the knob. What awaited her inside? Would she be able to transform her lofty dreams into reality? She took a deep breath, pushing the door open and stepping into her sanctuary. The familiar scent of her favorite lavender candle greeted her. She needed that comfort now more than ever. Sinking into her worn armchair, she brought out her notebook. It lay open to pages filled with sketches and ideas. Each line represented hope, her vision to change lives, to foster connections. But doubt whispered again. Could her enthusiasm hold against the weight of reality? She felt a sting of fear as the self-doubt tangled itself tightly in her thoughts. In an attempt to distract herself, she flipped through her notebook. One idea stood out, a workshop focused on storytelling. It could include young adults, single parents, anyone in need of finding their voice again. It was risky but rewarding. Could she lead such an event? Her heart pounded as she imagined the faces of those who might attend, imagining their stories flowing into a space where they felt seen, heard, and valued. Suddenly, the phone buzzed, slicing through her contemplation. A message from Mr. Jackson flashed across the screen. "Emily, great meeting today. Let us set up a follow-up next week." She smiled at the screen. His interest in her thoughts felt like a fresh push, an open door she couldn't ignore. Yet, behind that smile lurked fear. She started typing a response when she hesitated. Did she really have what it took to make this vision come alive? A storm of insecurities raged inside her. What was one more workshop in a world so filled with disconnection? Pushing that thought aside, she texted back her availability, knowing she had to face this, that she had to believe in herself. She stood up, pacing around her living room, her heart racing. It was more than just a workshop, it was about her journey. It was about facing her fears. Later that night, she found herself dreaming of community gatherings, laughter echoing, stories woven together like colorful threads. She pictured herself standing in front, guiding others to reclaim their narratives. But as the dream blossomed, an image of failure crept and the weight of disappointment stung like a bitter chill. What if no one showed up? What if no one cared? "Stop," she whispered to herself, shaking her head as she sat up in bed. Each what if was a mental barrier, something holding her back. She needed to break down those walls and let her true self emerge. Would she allow fear to silence her? The moment felt pivotal. In that dim light, she resolved to face her truths, to speak out, even if it meant exposing her vulnerabilities. With a surge of determination, she vowed to bring her ideas to life, one small step at a time. As she lay down again, a new question bubbled up: what if vulnerability became her greatest strength instead of her weakness? The answer remained unclear, but one thing was certain: she was ready to step into the arena. Tomorrow would bring fresh challenges, and she braced herself for whatever lay ahead. With hope ignited and her heart wide open, she drifted off, thoughts swirling. What awaited her on the path to finding her voice? Unbeknownst to her, the moment of truth was about to collide with the unexpected, turning her life upside down. Morning light streamed through Emily's window, brightening the room with a golden hue. She woke feeling an electric buzz of excitement, a stark contrast to the doubt that had troubled her the night before. Today was the day she would take the first step toward her workshop. Just the thought of it sent butterflies fluttering in her stomach. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her notebook, filled with ideas and dreams. Each page felt alive, pulsing with potential. She flipped to the section labeled Workshop Planning and paused, the ink staring back at her like a challenge. Could she really do this? She felt her heart beat faster. As she wrote down her ideas, topics to cover, potential exercises, her phone buzzed again. It was Mr. Jackson. "Can we meet at the cafe around the corner instead?" An invitation, nothing grand, but it felt momentous. Emily turned it over in her mind, then quickly typed back her agreement. She needed to gather courage for the meeting and the forthcoming workshop. The cafe was bustling with life. The aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods wrapped around her like a warm embrace. As she approached their table, she spotted Mr. Jackson already seated, tapping away on his laptop. He looked up, his smile warm. "Hey, Emily. Glad you could make it." "Thanks for having me," she replied, her voice steadier than she anticipated. They exchanged pleasantries before diving into a discussion about their last meeting. She couldn't help but feel a spark of hope this was going well. "Your ideas are intriguing," Mr. Jackson said, leaning in slightly. "I can see a lot of passion behind the workshop concept. I'd love to hear more." She could hardly believe it. Here was a person who actually wanted to know more about her dream. It brought warmth flooding through her. She shared her vision, her enthusiasm spilling out as she imagined the faces of those who might attend. "What if we narrowed the focus? Maybe specialize in storytelling for those who faced significant life challenges?" He suggested. The idea hit her like a lightning bolt. "Yes. That's brilliant," she exclaimed, her heart racing as new possibilities stretched out before her. Mr. Jackson smiled. "I think there's real potential here, Emily. But it's important to remember to stay true to your voice. Authenticity will resonate with others." His words danced around her like sparks. "Be authentic." That was precisely what she needed to hear. As they finalized some ideas, the cafe became a blur. Clinking cups and murmurs of patrons faded into the background. She felt a surge of confidence. Mr. Jackson believed in her vision. Could it really be possible that she could rally others around their stories, building a community from shared experiences? When they wrapped up, he promised to connect her with some contacts who could help spread the word. "Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything," he added. Walking back home, Emily's heart was light. She had taken a big step. With every beat, she felt more grounded in her purpose. But the thought of the workshop lingered. So many people out there needed healing through storytelling. What if she could facilitate that change? As she slipped into her apartment, she knew deep down that this journey was only beginning, yet a small nagging voice crept back into her mind. Would she be able to handle the weight of their truths? While she simmered over this thought, a loud crash echoed from her neighbor's apartment. She stepped to the wall, pressing her ear against it. "You okay?" she called out, her instincts on high alert. Silence hung for a heartbeat before a soft cry filled the air. Emily's breath quickened. In that moment, the stakes transformed. Maybe the power to nurture wasn't waiting in the workshop, it was needed right now, just across the wall. Would she dare to step through that door and confront whatever lay beyond? Emily's heart raced as she knocked lightly on the thin wall that separated her from the unknown. "Hello? Is everything all right?" she called again, her voice steady despite the unease swirling inside her. A moment later, the cry echoed back, clearer this time, full of pain, a sound that sent a shiver down her spine. Gathering her courage, she grabbed her keys and opened her front door. The hallway felt strangely quiet, and the flickering overhead light cast uncertain shadows against the walls. She walked to her neighbor's door, each step heavy with anticipation. "Please," she whispered, pressing her ear against the door. There was a shuffling sound inside, and then silence. She hesitated. What if this was none of her business? But another soft whimper broke the stillness, like a plea, and it pulled her in. Against her better judgment, Emily raised her hand and knocked harder. "I'm coming in," she called out. She turned the doorknob and, to her surprise, it swung open. She stepped inside, the dimness wrapping around her like a shroud. The apartment was a mess. Overturned furniture and scattered belongings painted a picture of chaos. Her eyes darted around until they landed on the source of the cries. A woman lay curled up on the floor, her hair disheveled and her clothing wrinkled, a mix of fear and defeat etched across her face. "Oh my God," Emily gasped, rushing forward. "Are you okay? What happened?" The woman looked up, eyes wide and filled with tears. "I don't know, I just need a moment," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "It all got too much, I lost my job," and then her words fell away, overwhelmed by sobs. Emily dropped to her knees beside her. "I'm Emily, I live next door. I heard you. I'm here now. You're not alone." The woman shook her head, wiping tears from her cheeks. "I can't. I don't know how to face it," she choked out. In that moment, Emily felt a rush of empathy wash over her. Here it was, this was the connection she sought to create in her workshop. The authenticity of shared pain and vulnerability was right in front of her. She understood now, the workshop wasn't just about helping others share their stories. It was also about being there in the immediate moments of need. "Listen," Emily said softly, drawing closer. "You might feel lost right now, but it's okay. We all face our storms. Can I help you up? Let's take one breath together." As the woman's eyes met hers, something shifted. The walls of despair began to crack, even if just a little. Slowly, she took Emily's outstretched hand. "Let's talk," Emily encouraged, guiding her to a nearby upright chair. "You don't have to go through this alone. You're safe with me." Sinking into the chair, the woman took a shuddering breath. "My name is Lisa. I feel like I've failed at everything," she whispered, the weight of her confession palpable. Emily sat across from her, leaning forward, her heart full of compassion. "No one is perfect, Lisa. Your story, it's still being written. Let us explore it together." As they shared their stories, Emily's spirit felt lighter, fuller. She realized that this connection, this raw and real moment, was the foundation of what she wished to cultivate in her future workshop. But even as they found solace in each other's words, a sinking fear crept back into her mind. Could she really help Lisa? What if her own worries overshadowed her ability to truly be there for someone else? The moment lingered, heavy with unspoken doubts, as both women grappled with their truths in the quiet of the room. And yet, in their shared vulnerability, a flicker of hope emerged, one they both knew was just the beginning. Would this meeting spark something greater? Could their raw truth lead Emily to uncover her own strength in ways she never expected? Emily watched as a tear slid down Lisa's cheek, feeling the weight of the moment settle between them. Have you ever felt like you were drowning, as if the world is just too heavy? Lisa's voice trembled as she tried to articulate her pain. Every day, Emily replied gently. But it's okay to feel that way. It shows you're human. She could feel the tremor in her own heart, the pulsating empathy that began to blossom into something deeper. Lisa's eyes searched Emily's face, as if looking for a lifeline. I thought I had it all figured out, a solid job, friends, but it all slipped away so fast. I just feel so lost. The sobs broke her words, and Emily wanted so badly to take that hurt and make it disappear. What if we focus on one small step together? Emily suggested, leaning in. What is something you enjoy or used to enjoy? Maybe we can rekindle that flame? A flicker of light crossed Lisa's face, quickly dimmed by doubt. I used to love painting. But when I lost my job, I lost my confidence too. I can't paint anymore. Maybe you just need a fresh start, Emily replied, the connection between them deepening. What if we tried painting tonight? Just to see? Lisa's lips twitched at the corners. You really think it would help? It's worth a shot, right? We can make it fun, no pressure. Emily smiled, hoping to ignite some spark of enthusiasm. Surprisingly, during the next few moments, a soft glimmer of excitement broke through Lisa's hesitance. Okay, why not? She whispered, her voice stronger now. As they rummaged through the scattered boxes and moved aside the mess, they found old paints and brushes, caked with dust, like forgotten dreams waiting to be awakened. Emily couldn't help but feel exhilarated, almost as though they were unlocking something powerful together. Let us set everything up near that window, Emily suggested, pointing to the soft glow of afternoon light streaming in. The light might inspire you. Just let it flow, no judgment. The two women settled into their makeshift studio at the window. Emily grabbed a wide canvas, setting it down in front of Lisa. Start simple, just whatever comes to mind. It can be colors, shapes, whatever speaks to you. Lisa took a breath, hesitating at first, but then lifted the brush to the canvas. Her movements were tentative, almost unsure, but as colors began to dance on the white surface, Emily felt the atmosphere shift. With each stroke, Lisa's brow unfurrowed a little more. She painted a sun rising, its rays stretching out like hope breaking through darkness. Surprisingly, Emily found herself entranced. It was more than just paint, it was Lisa's spirit emerging from chaos. As time passed, the atmosphere filled with warmth, laughter, and something indefinable, a healing energy woven into every brushstroke. Emily's own doubts began to fade, replaced by a burgeoning belief that they were both recapturing lost pieces of themselves, but just as the moment peaked, a loud crash echoed from outside, jolting them. The sound shattered the fragile bubble they had created. Emily turned sharply toward the window, her heart racing. What was that? She breathed, eyes darting toward the source of the noise. They both stood silently, tension wrapping around them like a fog. In that instant, doubt crept back into Emily's mind. Were they really safe? And more importantly, would they be able to face whatever storm was brewing outside? With a lump in her throat, she clutched the back of the chair, feeling the energy shift once again. It was as if they stood at the edge of a precipice, unsure of what awaited them. Could they find solace in their newfound resolve, or would the world outside push them back into despair? Emily locked eyes with Lisa, a silent question lingering in the air. This moment could change everything. Emily's heart raced as she glanced toward the window, sensing danger beyond the faint silhouette of trees swaying in the breeze. The crash had sounded foreign, unsettling in its abruptness. She instinctively leaned closer to Lisa, sharing a moment of vulnerability that spiraled deeper than words could convey. It sounded like glass or something breaking, Lisa whispered, her voice quaking as she pulled her gaze from the painting to the uncertainty outside. The sun they had just depicted was now hidden behind a thickening cloud, as if nature were mirroring their apprehensions. Maybe it's nothing, Emily said, though she could hear her own doubt laced within her words. Just a branch or something. But even as she said it, worry clawed at her. They had worked so hard to rediscover a sense of safety in that room, and the stakes felt higher than they ever had before. A series of muffled voices erupted outside, punctuated by sharp laughs and the occasional thud. Emily shuddered, and then instinctively reached for Lisa's hand, squeezing it tight. "We're okay," she murmured, hoping to plant a seed of belief not just for Lisa but for herself too. "What if it's something worse?" Lisa asked, her expression teetering on the edge of fear. "I don't know if I can handle that." "This is our space right now," Emily replied urgently, deciding to defy the noise outside. Let us not let whatever's going on erase what we've just built." With that, Emily took a deep breath and shifted her focus back to the canvas, breaking the spell of uncertainty that had settled over them. She spread her hands over the vibrant colors flowing from Lisa's brush, transforming them into an abstract representation of their emotions, a blend of joy mixed with the fear that resonated just outside the window. "Look," she said, pointing to the painting. "The sun you painted, it's still radiating light, even as clouds gather. Maybe that's what we need to hold on to. We're stronger than our fears." Lisa glanced at the evolving artwork, her frown softening. The strokes of paint seemed to pulse with new life, the sun's remnants breaking through muted tones that mirrored their uncertainty. Her eyes shimmered with realization, a hint of determination breaking through. "You're right. I don't want to let fear win." Just then, a loud crash erupted again, this time closer and more chaotic. Emily's heart thudded against her ribs as the window rattled slightly. She felt the panic surfacing within her, a wild beast, clawing at her mental cage. "Stay here," Emily said quickly, jumping to her feet. The urgency sank in, she had to check what lay beyond the threshold of their sanctuary. But as she approached the window, she felt an overwhelming wave of protectiveness surge within her. How could she shield Lisa from the storm brewing outside? "Wait!" Lisa called, her voice urgent. "What if it's dangerous?" Emily paused, torn between curiosity and caution. It was easy to get lost in the chaos looming over them, but they had just unearthed hope. "If we stick together, if we confront whatever it is as a team, we can handle it," she said, certainty fighting for dominion over fear. Lisa nodded slowly but hesitated. "You're sure?" In that moment, Emily realized that bravery wasn't just about facing threats, it involved stepping into the unknown, reclaiming their space, and standing firm united. "We can't back down now. This moment matters. We matter." Taking a step back, she took a deep breath and turned toward Lisa, their fears echoed in their eyes, but their resolve lighting them up. They had just begun to find their way, it was time to unleash that fire. With a determined voice, she said, "Let us discover what's really going on out there, together." As they stood at the edge of that decision, a feeling washed over both. What if the storm brought revelations they never saw coming? The sound outside grew louder, a cacophony of voices and crashing metal. The moment hung heavy in the air, charged with both fear and anticipation. What awaited them outside could change everything. Would they find a new way forward, or would the storm engulf them? As Emily opened the window slightly, a gust of wind flooded into the room, mixing elements of chaos with the warmth they had built. What lay ahead, she wondered, waiting just at the brink of the unknown. The world outside exploded into view, a flurry of chaos and color crashing together like waves against the shore. Emily leaned farther out the window, her heart racing as she saw a group of young people laughing, shouting, and smashing empty bottles against the pavement. Her brow furrowed, that creeping sense of danger making her gut twist. "Stay back," she urged Lisa, retreating from the open window, the sounds outside echoing in her ears. She turned, a rush of adrenaline pushing her forward. "We can't let fear take us down. We have to decide how to handle this." Lisa stood up, drawn from her moment of hesitation. "You're right." Determination flickered in her eyes. Together they strove to reclaim what they had forged, an unspoken pact sparked by resilience and spirit. "Let us channel this energy," Emily said, heart pounding against her chest. "We might not have control over what's outside, but we can control how we respond to it." That thought shone brightly against the storm they faced. "Okay," Lisa nodded, her face softened with resolve. "What do we do?" Emily looked toward the scattered colors on the canvas, remnants of the painting Lisa had begun, buoyed by the warmth of their earlier connection. "What if we paint what we feel right now? The chaos, the noise, it's all a part of our story." The truth hit her. "We can turn this mad energy into art." Lisa's eyes lit up. "Yes. Let us use the sound and the colors to fuel us." The sound of broken glass outside transformed into a rhythm that resonated with their hearts. With fervor, they picked up their brushes, plunging them into vivid hues. As Emily swirled the brush against her canvas, mixing flares of sunset orange with strokes of shadowy black, she shouted above the noise. Let us reflect what we hear. Each clash, each cheer, represents something more. Color erupted across the canvas, a whirl of emotion pouring onto the fabric. With every stroke, they let go of their fears, transforming the chaos around them into empowerment. Lisa's hands moved fluidly, drawing wild shapes, the chaos outside morphing into freeing, abstract expressions of their pain and strength. For the first time, Emily witnessed Lisa smile genuinely, colors blending together as their collaboration evolved. Look! It's a storm breaking through, she said, gasping as the painted sun they created now crackled with energy, fear dissolving under its glowing tones. Together, we can find warmth even in madness. Emily replied, fueled by the moment. The brawling outside was merely background noise to their vibrant creation. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated close, and instinctually, Emily froze. She exchanged a glance with Lisa, whose expression remained steadfast. No backing down, Emily affirmed. Let us finish this. And with renewed vigor, they splashed paint across their canvas, surrendering to the synchronization of their hearts and brushes. What was once merely noise now turned into a background beat and inspiration. With the window still open, sounds of laughter and clashing echoed in, an unexpected twist that fueled their creativity. Underneath it all, Emily felt a gradual shift within her, her doubts transforming into an exhilarating energy that surged. Time melted, it became harder to tell where the noise ended and their artwork began. Suddenly, the banging ceased. Silence wrapped around them. Lisa peered outside and gasped, Emily! Look! Together they rushed to the window, where the street had changed. The young crowd, once destructive, now stood awed at the sight of vibrant colors spilling from the window. The outside world had taken notice, caught in the transformative power of their creation. We're all part of this, Emily said quietly, feeling a shift. Look at them. They see beauty in the chaos. With that moment hanging in the air, one brave soul from the crowd stepped forward, approached their door, and knocked tentatively, his face a mixture of curiosity and humility. What are you doing in there? Emily looked to Lisa. They had created something transcendent, something that woven threads among them all. With a deep breath, she faced the door. We're creating a new way to tell our stories. Want to join us? The young man's eyes widened with surprise and then hope. Can I really? Absolutely. Come in. We'd love to have you. With that invitation, the door swung open, and as Emily welcomed him into their newfound sanctuary, she sensed a ripple of collective healing igniting beyond just herself and Lisa. One by one, others began to step forward, not as outsiders but as part of the growing story. The chaos outside transformed into expressions of connection, voices intertwining with laughter and acceptance. Sharing their stories was no longer terrifying, it was empowering. In the chorus of stories shared, Emily realized a beautiful truth: vulnerability connected them all. Underneath the noise, the laughter, and the unity, she saw herself reflected in each stranger, a reminder that honesty and strength were the fabric of their future. They painted their laughter, their struggles, their dreams, and within that moment, the storm transformed. No longer were they separate, they had become a community, celebrating the power of every voice. With every brushstroke, every laugh, and every shared breath, they rose together, breaking through the darkness. Emily understood now that the workshop she dreamed of was already alive, made exquisite through collective expression. It became clear, unity was the art that could light up the world. As cheers erupted outside, painting spread outwards, and the night unfolded around them, a deeper healing commenced, a journey unearthing truths that would reveal more than they ever thought possible. And in that chaotic, hopeful moment, Emily's heart swelled. She had found her voice, and with it, the strength to inspire others to share their own. In that moment, she knew she could lead them all into the light. The journey was only just beginning, and together, they would write their stories anew. Now is the time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below sharing your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now and let us build a community together. Don't wait not even one more second to share.